Today's gospel is the parable of the prodigal son. It comes on the Saturday of the second week of Lent for us. And when you hear this gospel at Mass, as soon as you hear, a man had two sons, you know it's going to be a long gospel. But every time I meditate on the prodigal son, something new strikes me. And there's two things lately that have really kind of tickled my soul in terms of just a point to ponder. One of them, and I think of this often, is that it says after the son has decided to come home, has come to his senses, it says while he was still a long way off, his father caught sight of him and was filled with compassion. He ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. The word filled with compassion in the original language is to be so deeply moved that your guts are churning. Your interiority is absolutely on fire. It's being moved to the depths of your being. That's what's being said here. And it says to me that the father must have been climbing to the brow of the highest hill of his farm every day and scanning the horizon, thinking maybe today, could it be today is the day that my son will come home? So love never sits at home idly when somebody is outside wandering, lost. Love goes in search of the lost one and welcomes that one home. The other thing that strikes me about the parable of the prodigal son is at the end, when the older son is outside arguing with the father, and the father's trying to get him to come into the party, we don't know if the older son goes in or not. Does he enter the house? Does he sit down and celebrate? Does he receive his younger brother back as his brother? Or does he stay outside in his anger, in his righteousness, in his pride? It's a great question for us this Lent because the Lord is inviting us to come into the feast. But in order to enter into the feast of God's mercy, into the feast of the Eucharist, we have to lay aside our pride, our anger, our sense of self in order to humbly walk through that door and to receive each other as brothers and sisters. Does the older son go in? We don't know. The parable leaves that question unanswered. But perhaps tellingly so, rightfully so, because it's a question that we're compelled to answer in our own life. Do we have the humility to walk into the feast as one in need of mercy ourselves?